Good morning. Welcome. Welcome once again. Let me echo what Tom just mentioned. I know it's not easy nowadays to get some time off, especially to spend a day outside of work. So we do appreciate the time that you've taken to be here. I'm Devaka Randeniya. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer at WSO2. I'm based out of the US. But it's always a pleasure coming here to the UK. I'll give you a bit of history as to who we are, where we come from. And then really talk about these kinds of events that we do. So Oxygenate is a series of events that we do around the world as a means of getting to know our customers, first and foremost, obviously. Then, of course, talk to our prospects and partners and really put everyone together so we can have meaningful conversations as to, what are we trying to do today, how we can do things better, and learn from one another. I think that's crucial nowadays. If you look at the history of WSO2, we are almost 20 years old. We started in 2006. I was the first sales guy to join the company. I had a full head of hair. Now I don't. So that goes to show how long it has been. And through that journey, obviously, we've learned so much. And then we've been able to sustain for the long haul as well. As you know, especially if you're a technology arm, it's not that necessarily easy for you to survive, especially given the downturns that you've had over the past several decades. But we've been able to sort of plow through all of that stuff and be ahead. And as you may know, we are now owned by EQT. Private equity firm, which is one of the largest private equity firms in the world, Swedish-based. So we are that much closer to Europe and UK as well in that sense. But if you think about the journey of the company, when we first got started, it was started on several principles or objectives in mind. One was the fact that we can do a lot more with open source. We can build better technology with open source. We believe in open source. I would venture to go as far as saying we are one of the most open source companies that you can find today. There are other companies that will claim open source, but if you look at their business model, they're not necessarily open source. It's a dual licensing model. You have your open source go-to-market strategy, which is more of a slimmed down version of the product, which is not open source, which is open source, but you don't get access to the full capabilities of the product. If you want the full capability, guess what? You need to buy a license. That is not who we are. What you download from our website, it's a full product through and through. You get all the capabilities. So we are firm believers of open source. And that also goes a step further, saying that we believe that the product needs to speak for itself first. It's not a sales rep. It's not a pre-sales engineer. It's not marketing, fancy marketing that positions the product. It's the product in itself. So gain the experience of the product. If it's worthwhile, then we can strike a conversation. So that has really worked well for us over the past almost 18 years. Today, we have customers in over 93 international markets today. We power a quarter of the world's governments. We just launched, our Italian partner just launched the EU citizen digital identity out of Italy, which is now going to be expanded to the rest of Europe as well. We were able to do that because we were an open source company. It's not that we went and marketed into 93 markets. That's just not practical at all. But the fact that we are able to get into those markets is because the product is easily accessible. Even today, we have customers talking. MedOffice, Totsco, Vitality, Vodafone, these are huge organizations having huge impacts in economies and so on. Every single one of them, we've been talking to them after they've gotten to know about the product. And that's a go-to-market strategy that we will continue to press upon. Because we feel that's the only way you can build long-term relationships with customers. Because at the end of the day, the product has to be mature, speak for itself, and build trust by way of the product is important and critical nowadays. The other important factor, that objective of the company, was also the fact that we believe that you can build technology from anywhere. Nowadays, it might not be a special thing, but almost 20 years ago, that was almost unheard of. I'm from Sri Lanka. We have a Sri Lankan origin story to WSO2. Sri Lanka, that part of the world was more or less known for, outsourcing services. Not necessarily known for building technology, but over the years, we've been able to put a stamp, a claim on that statement to say that you can, in fact, build great world-class technology out of anywhere in this world, especially Sri Lanka on the map now. If you look at the analyst reports, both Forrester, Gartner, IDC, KuppingerCole, all these guys, WSO2 is well positioned. So we feel like we have accomplished this to some great extent. As I mentioned earlier on, we are in 93 markets. And if you were to talk about markets, if you take UK specifically, it's somewhat lagging compared to other markets. McKinsey recently did a study, and they said only 35% of organizations in the UK are considered to be digitally mature. Now, that's slightly behind the US, which is about 44-45%, versus Nordics, which is north of 50%, 54%. So there is this interesting opportunity where the UK, there is still a lot more areas in which we can really leverage digital transformation products. And that's why we are here. And we will continue to be here for the long haul. The entire team is here. So to Tom's point, please do feel to reach out to us and talk to us about what we are doing today and what we plan to do in the future. But more importantly, please do engage with our customers, prospects, partners as well. I think that's equally important as well. So one of the reasons that we believe there is this tendency of lag of adopting digital transformation capabilities, obviously, the most important point is the cost. As you all know, the UK went through some troubled times in terms of inflation. I believe in 2022, your CPI index was like north of 11%, right? This is when the Russia-Ukraine war broke out. Inflation today is what? Somewhere around 2.5%, 2.6%, slightly ahead of the US as well. And there are so many things that are happening around the world these days. As you all know, Middle East is turning into a bit of a powder keg. We don't know how that's going to transpire and what that could impact rest of the markets as well. So there are so many things that are going on, which really doesn't open up that opportunity to go out there and invest heavily into technology and get these benefits of digital transformation. And that's where WSO2 really can play a key role. We were never considered as a costly option. That is absolutely not one of the key characteristics of WSO2, especially if it's open source. It's meant to be low cost, right? Because we put in the IP out there for free. It doesn't cost us money to put something out for free at all. So we are a low cost option. And Asanka and the rest of the team will be talking about how over the past 2 decades, we've been able to build platforms and using that experience, building our own version of a platform as well. If you look at WSO2's history, we've always been a platform company. When we got started, a few other companies got started as well who ended up doing really well. But they were more or less focused on one thing when it comes to integration. It was either integration, or it was API management, it was security or something like that. But our thesis was that, if you're talking about this holistic conversation about middleware, how do you integrate systems together, give a single user experience, it's more than just one thing. It's all those things put together. So that's why today we offer an integration capability, we offer an API management capability, identity access management capability, and so on. It is a full cohesive story that we're talking about. So it still surprises me sometimes. I'm here talking to some customers. Some customers would think of us as an IAM, identity company. And some would think of us as an API management company, or someone would think of us as an integration. So it's a challenge on our part to really get that message out, saying that we are in fact a platform company. So that's on us to make sure that it works. And I'm doing my part here on stage here, saying that we are in fact a platform company as well. And that has allowed us to really transform organizations, some of which we'll be talking today, to really leapfrog ahead of their competition to get to the point that they need to. And another unique thing about us is that we didn't build this platform by acquiring companies. The larger organizations obviously go about doing that, and they put a nice lipstick on top from a marketing standpoint, showing a very linear platform in place. But in our case, we actually build everything from ground up. So if you're using one product, it's very easy to integrate the other piece together as well in a very cohesive way. So those are various ways in which you can adopt technology at a low-cost fashion. That's one area that I believe is a reason why there is a lag. The other one is obviously the skill side. That's also there's a lag in terms of skill capabilities when it comes to these kinds of products. So that's why we also try and introduce products that are easier to adopt and learn. We have our own integration language called Ballerina, which is very easy to learn. If you're a basic programmer, know Java, it's very easy to pick those things up. So one thing that I always mention is that WSO2 is extremely technical. We have over 20 PhDs. You can imagine what it was like when we first started the company. We had 20 engineers, and there was me, all these smart people and one sales guy on the side. But we've been able to keep that DNA of the company to this day as well. We are very much a technology company first and less of a sales first organization. So I think those two elements certainly play a pivotal role as to why especially here in the UK, things are not picking up as fast. And we feel like we have an opportunity here to address that head on. And again, once again, talk to these customers that are here talking. They are of different degree or different sizes and volume as well. We understand not every customer needs large-scale deployments. Not every customer needs a on-prem or a cloud setup. You could have a hybrid. That's another thing that we bring to the table, is that you have both on-prem software as well as cloud, and you have everything in between as well. So you have the choice of taking a path that makes sense for you. So I don't want to take too much of your time. I certainly am not the highlight here. It's Asanka and the customers who are here to talk. But once again, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate the time. And we are here for the long haul. We, in fact, have a full team here based in London. We have sales, pre-sales, channel. We have a country manager that we are looking to hire. So if you know of anyone, please do let us know. And so we are here for the long haul. So once again, thank you so much, and hope to see you guys later on this day. Thank you.